ready for this panel? Is everyone here Sam Crow? Well, great. I'm Chip. I'm the moderator. And 8 years. It's been 8 years since the show's been on. Emilio's carrying the torch with the Mayans show. Did you guys think we'd still be here talking about Sons of Anarchy?
Yes. Yes.
No. But I'm happy for it.
So, man, the show was so great. It was just amazing. And I live in LA, and it was so great to see all the places there in the show that I knew. And Ron, what's your like all-time favorite memory from the show?
The best part of the show was when we were around the table, you know, because that was core Sons of Anarchy. That was like the thing that separated us from any other environment I was ever in as an artist, you know. And it was always, regardless of where they went story-wise, whenever we got to like touch home plate by sitting around the chapel and having those meetings, and you know, everybody had their designated seats until they didn't. That was kind of representative of, you know, what made Sons of Anarchy, you know, that was the flavor, that was the secret sauce. And that was the greatest memory for me because I loved the guys so much. And that was where we got a chance to find out, you know, who we could put down better, you know, who was like better at putting down, you know, motherfuckers. You didn't bring your... you guys didn't bring your kids, I hope, because it's gonna get gnarly.
Theo, AKA Juice.
Oh, you just feel bad for him.
I hope it went quick.
It was quick.
What about you? What's your favorite memory from the show?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, listen, at the end of the day, here we are. What'd you say, it was 8 years?
Yeah.
Shit. 8 years later, it just doesn't, they're rarities, right? This is like, things don't happen, and I think it takes years later for you to realize it as you go along further in the business and all that, and to still like enjoy each other's company as much as we did when we were there.
Let's not get crazy.
Let's not get crazy, not everyone. But just the fact that, you know, you know that you were in this thing that was, you know, maybe it was a once in a lifetime kind of thing because there's really not TV that exists like that anymore. And when you're out there and you're meeting people and they say, you know, my father's no longer with me, but when he was alive, we watched the show together and it was our thing, and it, you know, it was something that we loved doing together. And that's just so incredible to be a part of, and I think that really comes from the fact that we really enjoyed being around each other and we wanted to make the best show under the circumstances that it was. And I just love that. So my favorite part was just being there. You couldn't get there fast enough and you couldn't leave late enough. You just wanted to be around each other. And I think that showed in the making of the show. So that's my favorite part of it.
That's great. Emilio, so you're still playing Marcus. So how is that?
I want to thank you for the support all these years, man. Much love right back. But you know, it doesn't happen. This has never happens, brother, you know? And I remember when they first hired me on Sons, I was a Sons of Anarchy guy. Tigo didn't exist. I played a character named Hawk, and I was Clay's right-hand man, and that wasn't Clay. You know what I'm saying? So everything got changed around, and I was pissed off that it did because I wanted to be a son. Because the camaraderie, I'm telling you, I've been blessed to work a lot over the years before Sons, but I never worked on a show where it was a true brotherhood, man, because when we were not working, we'd be at Charlie's house playing cards, you know what I mean? Or we'd be at Dave and Callie's house swimming in the swimming pool. It was just a beautiful family thing, man. You know, so when the show went away, I didn't want it to go away. You dig what I'm saying? And even though I'm on the mines now, and it's a whole different brotherhood, but it's still not that brotherhood. You dig what I'm saying? It's really weird. We love each other like brothers and stuff, but we don't spend time as much as we did with Sons, and I thought that would carry over. The production value and the actors are fantastic. I just wish we had that brotherhood that we have now. Like when we get together now, these Comic Cons, it's like we never left. You know what I'm saying, brother?
That's great. That's great. Charlie, what's your all-time favorite memory of the show?
I mean, it was extraordinary. You know, getting the show was incredible and massive, and finishing it felt like an enormous accomplishment. And at the time, I felt like I was ready to step away and do something else because I'd lived with that character inside me for so long, and he was such a big part of it. But as the time's gone on, you know, I miss it a lot, you know, and I really cherish these opportunities to come and get the band back together. And I haven't talked to these guys yet, so they probably tell me no, but I have an idea to bring us all back together. So I'm working on that. I perceive this as a safe space while I'm approaching this right now. This is the first time Ron's ever hearing this, so I'm sure we got stuff to talk about later.
Yeah, it's like Salt Lake City a year from now, so that's the idea. No?
Yeah, exactly. But I will say, for me, where I look back at consistently the days that I enjoyed most, we shot an episode of this show in 7 days. That was our production schedule.
That's brutal.
It was brutal because there's a lot of action. So one of those days was usually dedicated to doing a lot of riding and action stuff with all the boys. And they were Kurt swung for the fences with what he expected us to be able to deliver on a fairly consistent basis in the show. You know, one day I had to, cry, like in the morning, cry my eyes out because, my, wife had just killed my mom, or my mom had just killed my wife. And then the next moment we're laughing and joking and camaraderie, and there was a huge roller coaster on any given day of what we were required to do, and we were super excited for it because, we got to put our machinery to work. But the point that I'm trying to make is that those days we did the action, it was just us hanging out and really like being the Sons. We're riding around on bikes and punching people and shooting guns and stuff. So those days were really, really fun for me.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, 7 days. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we broke the mold on that. Traditionally, hour-long television had always been shot in 10 days, but everyone was terrified about our show, like what is it and is anybody going to watch it? And they just didn't want to spend as much money as they'd normally spend on an hour-long drama. So that, by consequence, we lost 3 days. And then once we proved we could do it, then they said, well, there's no point changing the model now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I met someone recently who hadn't seen the show, and they're like, what's it about? It's like, it's Shakespeare meets biker gangs. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, yes. So, let's go to the fans. It's called FanX for a reason. So, let's take some questions from the audience. Who's first?
I'm Candace, and I have a question for Charlie. You guys are all awesome, don't get me wrong, but this is mainly for Charlie. When you found Tara's body, I just want to know, was that an emotion you were able just to cry on seeing, or was that an emotional day saying goodbye to Maggie Siff that you worked with for so many years?
It's always so difficult to try to figure out how to approach something like that. That day was particularly difficult. It was a regular day for us on set. We had 5 scenes to shoot. They'd scheduled that scene to be the last scene of the day. So I had been brought in, I wasn't working until that. I waited around for about 5 hours, just alone in that kitchen set. I just wanted to be there and try to get ready, terrified. Whether I was going to be able to deliver something that felt authentic and, satisfying for the audience. And then we just ran out of time that day. We couldn't shoot it. So Kurt came to me and said, I'm sorry, I know this is a bummer. You've been preparing for, the last 12 hours to do this, but can you come to it tomorrow instead? So it kind of was a relief. I said, yeah, sure. And we showed up the next morning, like 6 a.m. We just did it and did it in half an hour. And, I love Maggie, really loved her, you know, through the course of that show. So walking in and seeing her like that, just sort of my true feeling for her took over.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Right on, thank you.
Next question.
Hi, I'm Nate. So my question is towards Charlie and then everyone. So I'm a huge Guy Ritchie fan, and so I was curious I would love to hear what your experience was like working with Guy Ritchie on things like King Arthur, as well as A Gentleman, which has become a favorite, and then for everybody else as well, what has been kind of your favorite project to be a part of outside of Sons?
I love Guy in the experience that I had, sort of in the camaraderie and, I don't know, sort of laddie approach to doing work. Guy is the king of that, and it just is always a lot of fun working with him. Unfortunately, the end result of the Gentleman was received very well. It's funny, I've been here this morning and meeting a lot of people, and people consistently tell me how much they love King Arthur. My question to you is, where were you when the film came out? Nobody came to see it. Thank you, you were there. But we did lose the studio $200 million in that enterprise, so we weren't invited back to do another one.
Fuck 'em.
Emilio, what's your favorite project outside Sons of Mines?
It's movies you never saw. You dig what I'm saying? It was the ones that we had no money to do, so we did it with a lot of heart. We did it for free, and it was just the best way. Cheers, we get to get it out, and it didn't get out. You dig what I'm saying? And like literally, we shoot back then. We shoot on film, and they'd be like, "Emilio, we only have so much film. We only got one take." So it had to be good. So it really put you on point. And those characters that were really close to who I was at the time. You dig? So it's the ones where we had no money. Those are the ones that mean a lot to me. They really do. And nobody saw them.
Theo?
The TV show I went to right after it, Luke Cage, where I got to play, was something a little different, right? Because it was kind of like the comic book world set in the hip hop world, right? Where, you know, there's Method Man playing himself and Rakim playing himself, and then where me, Mahershala, Alfred were all playing these, you know, characters in this kind of gangster world, and Shades was so different than Juice. So I kind of, it was a really nice thing to jump into right after it and kind of like soft toe into the comic book world in a very different way. So that was kind of my favorite after it.
That's cool.
So can I just continue real quick before we go on? So you can see it now. It's a movie called Road Dogs, and it's about a guy that's trying to straighten out the kids from the streets. That's one of them. And the other one's called Never Get Out of the Boat. It's about recovery, which I was doing, you know, I was like 14 years at the time. So Never Get Out of the Boat, check it out. You're gonna dig them, man. You really will.
Ron, what about you?
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, Jesus, where do I even start? To name a couple. No, I mean I've been, you know, at the risk of sounding like a total dickwad, you know, I've been blessed to make it this far and still have amazing things coming my way, and so many things I couldn't possibly point to any one in particular, but I like the stuff that I didn't think I could do, and I was close to saying no to. The show I did right after Sons was called Hand of God. It was a character that was emotionally out of control the whole time, and I didn't want, you know, I was really terrified to put myself in that situation. Like Charlie was just saying, you know, when you're constantly being asked to be in a state of emotional rawness, you don't know whether you're gonna have the goods on a particular day. And that's terrifying. So I had these two angels on my shoulder. One was saying, "Hey Ron, go do this show. Look at all that money you made on Sons of Anarchy. You don't need to do that shit." And the other guy's going, "What a fucking pussy. Are you kidding me? You got this acting opportunity over here you're gonna say no to? Fuck you, I'm out of here."
The two voices of those people are amazing. You have to hear those all the time. It drives me insane.
Okay, another question from the audience.
My name is Trisha, and I fell in love watching Nicholas Nickleby the first time I saw Charlie, and that was, I can't even remember how long ago But I wanted to ask all of you a question about being in the Sons of Anarchy. I study criminal justice and forensic science, and I was wondering if you did any research into outlaw motorcycle gangs, if you've found any interesting stories about that that kind of influenced your roles, and if you've ever supported BACA, or if you have an opinion about what they do.
I'm an honorary member of BACA. It's kind of fucked up, man, because I didn't have to do research because I was an outlaw, different kind of outlaw in my own life, my first part of my life, you dig? And I was around everybody that was good and bad. But I remember I was in court one time and BACA came in. They were there. They looked hardcore, you know. And I was doing Sons of Anarchy at the time, and they told me what they were about. I went to court and saw what they were about, and it was a beautiful thing, man. And so I supported you guys. I was in San Antonio, Texas, and they came to give me. I have my own cut at home. You dig what I'm saying? Now I've worn it a couple of times, but then somebody gave me some shit about it. They go, "Hey, you got a prospect," and I get it. But the only reason I took that cut is to show awareness on my platform, and what you guys do is a beautiful thing. So I support you, and I do wear the cut when I have to. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, beautiful thing what you do, man.
Yeah, we were very, very fortunate. In one of our producers on Sons of Anarchy, a guy called John Linson, is sort of best described as a method producer. He gets excited about worlds and then goes and gets deeply involved in them. And so he gave us access to one of the big motorcycle clubs in Oakland, and we were able to go and spend some time and learn, because I just wanted to try to figure out like the unifying why, like what brings these people together, and it was just so human and relatable, and I found accessible in a weird way, going up there and being with these people that had found a family outside of their biological family and found an identity and something to belong to. And of course there's negative elements of that world at times, but I was really blown away by the positivity of it and the love and the brotherhood. And that was the thing that I went, oh, I get, the basis of what this thing is.
But the tone was set. We were very lucky because the tone was set by what John did and then what Kurt followed. Spent a couple of months up in Northern Cali hanging out. And it was clear when we all started entering into the world in our own little way that we were going to go for the first time, you'd only see bikers in a one-dimensional way, like spitting and cursing and, scratching and stuff, This was going to be an exploration into the familial complexities of this subculture. And so it was an invitation to read as much as we could, to immerse ourselves in as much of the source materials as we could so that we could mirror the commitment that the show was making to be as authentic and as multidimensional with regard to these people's humanity and why it is they form these subcultures. These subcultures, interestingly enough, were formed mostly by veterans who came back to an ungrateful America. They go and they wear the uniform and they die and they bleed and they watch their pals die and then they come back and, who are you? Get the fuck out of here. We don't have a job for you and shit. So, okay, that's the way it's gonna be. We'll start our own little sub-country with our own laws and regulations. And it became fascinating to study, that and for me, personally, playing Clay, a guy who had to make all of these ruthless decisions, by all of that research, I understood I was responsible for the well-being of my family. And even though it was going to be some tough calls and a lot of people were going to hate the way I did it, I always was able to convince myself this is for the greater good, all because of the research we did on the complexities of the world.
Okay, next question.
I have a question for Ron Perlman. Do you have a favorite mythical creature? hard one, isn't it?
He lives very, very deep inside of me, and I can't get him out right now. He's not coming to talk to you. But thank you. He says, hang on. Yeah, no, he's not.
My name is Taylor. This is for everyone. What was your favorite guest appearance on the show? Who?
Oh, fuck, man. It was like, what's his name? The Beach Boy?
Hasselhoff.
It had to be Hasselhoff.
Gotta be
I
Hasselhoff.
mean, stand up if it wasn't Hasselhoff. See what I mean? Nobody stood up.
I like Mitch Pileggi. Every time I work with him, I don't know what he was gonna do. You dig what I'm saying? It was always very racist. He called me La Bamba, man. You know what I'm saying? Darby. He called me La Bamba, and I had a great expression because it was a real expression. And they kept it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Hasselhoff is the obvious because that's truly, still to this moment, one of the most insane days of filming I'd ever been a part of. I couldn't get it together. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess. But Henry Rollins, for me, when I saw Rollins, I walked into the makeup trailer and I had seen Rollins, and perform, and I'd read his all his books, and I was like freaking out when I saw Rollins. So that was kind of a...
Yeah, if we're being serious, I was kidding when I said Hasselhoff. Or was I? But I don't know. Henry Rollins, man, that's a badass motherfucker.
That's the dude. Yeah.
Next question.
So might be for Charlie, but I would like an answer from all of you. What character death hit you the hardest?
It's gotta be Opie. It's gotta be Opie, and I gotta say, Jack Steller's death hit me pretty hard too. Or the truck did.
Oh, that was quick. Okay. Hi, guys. My question, I'm sorry I love all of you, but my question's for Charlie. I have followed you for 20 years. Clear back from QAF. And I've always found your career choices really interesting. And I'm wondering about the upcoming Rebel Moon, because it looks awesome from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think I can tell you anything about that. I just finished, but I agree. I think it's gonna be really, really exciting. I can tell you about my new TV show that I have coming out on Apple TV October 14th called Shantae, which is my favorite novel of all time, and something I spent 5 years pursuing and got the rights, and we went and made the first season of the show. So it's now up to all of you if we get to make the second season or not. No pressure.
We'll be there for it.
If you could tune in October 14th, that would be great. Right on. Thank you, that one person.
I'm close. Hi, how are you? We obviously know that the casting was perfect for Sons, but if you could go back and redo it and do a different character, which one would you like to play?
I would be Tick. Minus Venus, though. You know what I'm talking about?
That would be Tick fun, though, right?
He was so offbeat. I just love that character. You don't know what he was going to do, how he was going to say it. And every time he said what he did, I go, that was a good choice. He was really good, man.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah, no, I like Juice. I'll stick with him. He was enough to handle. I can't even think about someone else. I mean, if it would, you know who I really liked? I was thinking about this the other day when I watched it, and I wish they would have done more with it. I kind of liked when Bobby Elvis was actually Elvis, when he was dressed like him and doing all the singing and stuff. So I would have liked to see more of that. I kind of found that really funny. But yeah,
The plan was to do that, and Bruin refused to shave his beard. and Elvis was dead.
Elvis left the building, and I love that.
Thank you.
Hi.
Have you ever thought of narrating an audiobook? Have you ever thought of narrating an audiobook?
I'm pretty dyslexic, so that would take me a long time. I would have to have Ron read it to me, and then I would just repeat what he said.
Yeah, but we're going to be backwards because I'm more dyslexic than you are, and I have read audiobooks, and it's taken years to do like for a 30-page book. It's like we need you to come back and read it in the order the words were actually written.
If you could bring back any character from the dead, which character would it be?
Opie! And Clay. And Jax. And Juice. Is Juice dead? Did Juice die?
Dead, yeah, leave him dead.
Yeah.
You can tell we all stopped watching the show after the 4th season. We're asking each other like, yeah, some of us didn't even make it that far, but we're all asking, what happened?
I'll bring back
Did
Jax.
Juice make it?
He's still alive.
He's president.
Still alive.
Hi, my name is Oliver, and when is Ron Perlman gonna play Hellboy next?
I do it Thursday nights in my living room, so I give you the address, and you know, we always make like those pizza pockets. It's a lot of fun. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Oliver. I think at 72 years old, my Hellboy days might be done. You'll understand that when you hit 71.
Thanks, Oliver.
Thank you, Oliver.
Hi, my name is Kaylee. This is my brother, Oliver. My dad made us come up here because he's a really big fan of Hellboy. And so I was wondering, when is Hellboy gonna become an Avenger?
Become what?
An Avenger?
Yeah. I'm gonna text my people right now. Right? That's a really good question. That would be a payday.
Hi, my name is Cloud. This question's for Ron Perlman. I'm a huge fan of Adventure Time. It's always been my favorite show. And you played the Lich, one of the greatest cartoon villains of all time. I was wondering, what was it like working with Adventure Time and playing the Lich?
I literally don't remember. I know it sounds familiar. Pretty sure I did it. You know, I'm not calling you a liar or anything. I really wish I could give you an answer that you so deserve, but sorry. I don't. I went in and I said my lines. I never read any of the scripts. I have no idea who he was in the story. They said, yeah, a little deeper. And that was it. I'm sorry.
You did great.
But thank you. I'm ruining it for you. And I feel horrible about myself right now. I'm gonna go medicate right after this.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming and welcome. And this is for any of you who wants to answer this. What kind of music would you guys like to listen to before going on a nice long bike ride? Yeah.
That's a question for you, Ron.
Well, when I get on my Schwinn.
What are you pumping in the headphones on that Schwinn?
It's always Sinatra.
Right now, I'm having a love affair with the boss. I just cannot stop listening to Bruce Springsteen on all occasions.
I'm just old R&B, brother. That's just old school. Yeah.
I I've been listening. We just got a bunch of new chickens, so they listen to a lot of Edith Piaf. So I've been listening to a lot of like old French music with the chickens.
That's what chickens like?
They love it. Yeah, they love that. Claude Debussy, like a lot of classical stuff. They love it. Calms them down. They lay down. So me and the chickens will listen.
Do they live in your house?
No, they're in the coop right next to me.
And the coop has speakers?
No, I play it on the phone in my pocket. The speaker hangs out. It's a weird situation.
No, tell us more.
Listen, guys, it's something to do with mushrooms. I don't know.
But the good news is we brought enough for all of you. So.
Next question.
Hello, my question is for Mr. Perlman. What was your favorite part about working on Beauty and the Beast, the TV series?
Well, it was the very first entry into anything kind of mainstream, but it was so weird at the same time. I mean, who does a show about, you know, an Elizabethan character who lives underneath the streets of New York and can't be seen by anyone, you know? But it was prime time on CBS Fridays at 8 o'clock, so it was these two worlds merging, one incredibly original and scary because networks don't like to take chances on things that are original, but had this classical kind of thing that harkened back to the reasons why I wanted to get into the business. I got infected by being an actor in school while I was studying classical theater and stuff, and so it was all my favorite worlds coming together, and for a brief time, it was like, you know, like a unicorn. Like, this is not supposed to, this stuff doesn't play very well in mainstream. And it was an honor to play Vincent. He was beautifully rendered character. He represented all of the things that got me into wanting to be an actor. I tell the story a lot, but when I watched Charles Lawton play Quasimodo in Hunchback of Notre Dame, for a kid who had a kind of a negative image of himself, to watch this deformed, ugly character be the most beautiful spirit in the whole piece just was a saving grace. And it made me obsessed with movies and with what you can do when you told stories in a way that decimated boundaries and stuff like this. And there I was, getting to play that guy almost. Vincent was very much a sub-cousin of Quasimodo. Someone who loved life and who had a beautiful spirit, but who couldn't participate in it in a way that was enriching. So there was the tragedy of it all. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but the show meant a lot to me. And
it's a fantastic show. How many people watched Beauty and the Beast? How many people watched it when it was on air? There we go. Fantastic. Next question.
Motherfuckers here.
Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you. My question is for all four of you. A big theme of Sons of Anarchy seems to be an examination of the relationship between fathers and sons, and whether it's there or it isn't, and what you have to do to make up for it. My question is, can you speak to the importance of a stable, safe, steady flow of a father figure or a father in the lives of young men and women in America?
That's heavy.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Didn't we get instructions about not asking questions like that? In the beginning? Wasn't that one of the rules? Like, that's way too serious, dude.
Heavy, dude.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's actually a good question.
It's a fucking great question, though. Anybody want to handle it? I don't.
Me being a father of two 40-year-olds and a 15-year-old is like the thing is that my family is everything to me, brother. Everything I do is for my family. And I tell you, when I did that episode where I killed my son on the show, I got so much negative feedback on that because we don't do that. You know, that's what I heard. And so I remember doing that scene, and I called my real son, who had to have a son at the same time as Kevin Alejandro, and I called him up. I go, Mijo, I'm gonna do something on TV right now that I want you to know I would never do in real life. You know what I'm talking about?
Thanks, Dad. That's good. I was wondering.
Thanks for letting me know you won't murder me. He goes, what are you gonna do? I go, I'm gonna kill this guy. You know, he's my son. You know, and he goes, Dad, I know that. You know, and because he knew that, I started crying. You know what I'm talking about? And then we weren't even doing that part yet. They were setting up for something else, but I was already breaking down, bro. You did, because that's how much that hurted me. I know just an acting. We're acting, but just for me to say that hurt me so bad. You did, because I'm really tight with my boy. And great. So I said, we gotta shoot it. He goes, no, we're not doing that. I go, no, we're doing this now, bro. I'm crying right now. Let's do this, you know. And it played out well, man. Really nice. It was so. I was crying a lot more, but of course they cleaned it up for the. You don't want to see Marcus Alves breaking down like a baby.
We do.
No,
we totally do.
Not at that time. It was the first season, boy. You couldn't see that weakness, you know. So they cut it out just right, though. Yes. It's love, man.
That went right off the rails, guys.
I gotta say, I mean, my dad was a huge part of this experience for me doing Sons of Anarchy. One of the big things of my youth was that I didn't feel that I could measure up. I really, really admired my father, and he's not with us anymore. And I was big. My mom and dad separated when I was young, and so I sort of had a bit of distance from my dad. But I still was trying to reconcile that perceived distance between what I thought was a great man and my sort of, shortfallings. And I explored that a lot. I think there was a lot of the thing that I was feeling, that Jax was feeling, so the experience of that. And obviously it's inherent in Hamlet, which Kurt mined, pretty deeply as source material for this. And it's obviously an enormous, recurrent, big dominant theme in Hamlet. So, it was an opportunity, and my dad loved the show in a way that he never really responded to my work, and was very proud of it. So I'm glad that it resonated on that level with you.
Thank you. It's a terrific question, because it's the central motivating force in Hamlet. And so in Sons, which was the mirror of the dynamic of Hamlet, the something foul has taken place, and it's up to the son to make it right. And all of us were part of the story, whether we were playing Jax, or whether we were just friends of Jax, or in my case, whether it was the new father of Jax, the really illegitimate father of Jax, which I continually had to explore my own relationships with my own father, because that's what you're always digging into your own personal experiences in order to do something that's called for in a dynamic, in a movie or a TV show. But very, very good question, because that was
Thank you very much,
at the center of all of it.
Thank you.
I'm not done.
Oh,
no.
Never mind.
I'm serious. I'm done.
I
I'm just fucking with you, man.
Alright guys, so kind of a follow-up there. For me, Sons of Anarchy was really hard to get through. So I took like a 6-month, 8-month hiatus off of it because it was so intense. My brother-in-law was into it, and I asked him if he'd finish it. He's like, yeah, you should finish it. So I got through it, and it was just such an emotional ending, and the whole thing was so emotional. So from a spectator, for me it was really emotional. I'm curious that as the actors and the whole thing overall, how hard was it for you guys as the characters, getting involved in the characters and everything else, to shoot it? If it was just emotional for you, to see everything go down that way, and then the way it ends, kind of like a foreshadowing from the very first season of how you know, Jack's dad dies, and that's kind of the way he leaves everything behind and everything like that.
I've been going around apologizing to everybody for how emotionally unhinged and untethered I was during the whole making of Sons of Anarchy. I'm serious. I was very, very, I don't know, there was something about being a part of that world with the guys that brought out the very best in us and the very worst in us. And
that's a true story.
And, and whenever we had to field some of the big changes that Kurt made in the dynamic of the group, starting with the death of Opie, there was a huge, profound, seismic reaction. And every time we lost a cherished brother, it wasn't like, oh, okay, he's no longer on the set. It was a body blow, emotionally, to me. I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody. So I reacted to things in ways that were a little bit unhealthy at times, and ego-driven at times, and there was something about the dynamic of the show and familial rivalries and everything that Kurt set up in the rules of the road. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it was as uncomfortable to participate in it at times as it was for you to watch.
Yeah. You know, my thing, I wish I would have enjoyed it more, because when most of the time I was beefing, the first few seasons I'm beefing with the Sons, and I would be beefing in my own head before I got to work. You dig what I'm saying? And just to be, I'm more like method that way. And what it is that I go in there and like I see Charlie, and I knew I had a heavy scene with Charlie, and I would look at Charlie and I would just give him a look and just keep on going, or just maybe a nod. It wouldn't be, what's going on, bro? It wouldn't be that shit until we wrapped. And I really wish I really would have just acted more instead of being more about it, you know what I'm saying? Because then when we got together after work, it'd be great, but at work it was real deal shit, man, you know what I'm saying?
That's why you were great, though. That's why you're great, Emilio. You know, I don't know if it would have been the same if we were laughing and joking and all loving each other, if there wasn't a sense of us owning these internal conflicts that were going on. I mean, when we came to an end, I was really relieved to not have to go through that journey with Jax anymore. But I was grateful for him too. I got broken into twice during the time that I was doing Sons of Anarchy, and Jax telehandled the situation. I'm hoping I don't get broken into now, because it's not going to be the same results. But I mean, it's funny and it's absurd, but it really happened. I mean, this ferocious beast came out of me where I thought, like, what do you do? This guy in my house, and Jax went, worry, bro, I know exactly what to do. And it was, that was just sort of one example of how possessed I think we all got by the good and the bad of the experience and these characters that we were desperately trying to bring to life.
Well, that's a great note to end on. What an honor to moderate this panel. Such a fabulous show. Really appreciate it, guys. Sam Crow forever.
Peace.